So the pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis, the pressure with the help of pressure flow happens. Mass flow with the help of pressure, mass, huge quantity of food material is moved. That is the topic in this one. So first definition we have to see. The translocation, translocation nothing but transfer of sugars from source to sink. Source to sink is called pressure flow hypothesis. Source means leaves. Yesterday I said that. Source means leaves. Leaves to sink. Sink means roots. Source to sink. Leaves to roots. That is called pressure flow hypothesis. Okay, that's it. So here in this, how the food material is moved from leaves to sink, that is what here we have to see. See here we have to draw one diagram. What is that? See, I am drawing roughly. Okay, so this is, it is one branch. It is leaf-like structure. It is leaf-like structure. It is bud-like structure. It is bud-like structure. So in this one, middle, what it is? Phloem. It is phloem. It is phloem tissue. This is. So in this phloem, translocation of sugars. So in the leaves, sugar is prepared. In the leaves, sugar, it is leaf. In the leaves, sugar is prepared. This sugar is entered into the phloem. From the phloem, it is translocated to the root region. Okay, this process is called the pressure flow hypothesis. Okay, so as the glucose is prepared at the source, see glucose here, this is glucose. The glucose is prepared at the source, leaves, by photosynthesis. So that glucose is converted into sucrose disaccharide. Okay, initially glucose is prepared, carbohydrates are prepared. That carbohydrates are converted into sucrose disaccharides in the leaves. So sugar in the form of sucrose, sugar only. So sucrose in the sense of sugar only. Sugar in the form of sucrose moves into the companion cells. See here, it is sugar. That sugar is entered into the, here companion cells are there. Here, companion cells. So in textbook diagram given clearly, neatly given. So here neatly I cannot draw. Okay, so that it is with this pen neat we cannot draw. Okay, see here, sugar in the form of sucrose. Sugar, this is sugar in the form of sucrose moves into the companion cells. Companion cells enters into the companion cells. Companion cells means what? A part of phloem tissue. Companion cells already we discussed on that anatomy of flowering plants. So from the companion cells, the sucrose moves to the living phloem sieve tube cells. So from the companion cells, here one more small sieve tube cells will be there. Small sieve tube cells will be there. Okay, from the companion cells, so the sucrose again enters into the small sieve tube cells. Sieve tube also a part of the phloem by active transport. By the active transport. Active transport means what? From lower concentration to higher concentration using the ATP energy. So this results in hypertonic condition. Okay, so hypertonic condition in phloem. So this is phloem. When this sucrose is entered into the sieve tube cells, here what conditions raised? Hypertonic. Hypertonic means high concentration of sugar is formed at the source, at the leaves. So then what happened? Water from the adjacent xylem. So this is what happened in the phloem. This is the phloem. Okay, next, beside the phloem, what will be there? This is xylem. This is xylem. In the xylem, what was there? Water will be there. Xylem transport water along with minerals. So water from the adjacent xylem. Adjacent means besides the phloem moves into the phloem by osmosis. So from this, water is entered into the phloem by osmosis. Okay, in the xylem, the water concentration is higher. So from that higher concentration to the point of lower concentration, water is moved to higher concentration. Okay, so then by osmosis process, from this it is entered into this process by osmosis. So the osmotic pressure builds up in the phloem. So when water is entered into this phloem, in this phloem, what creates osmotic pressure build up? We discussed while we are discussing a osmosis topic in the Tissel funnel. When we will creates pressure, when we apply pressure from upper side, the water movement is stopped. We discussed like that. In this phloem, osmotic pressure is built up. The osmotic pressure builds up in phloem. So the phloem sap moves to area of lower pressure, that is towards sink. When in the phloem is osmotic pressure is built up, at that time this phloem sap slowly the phloem sap slowly moves towards the sink area, towards the roots. So at the sink, the osmotic pressure reduced. So when the phloem sap is reached to the sink area, root area, so osmotic pressure is reduced. Hence, again sucrose is moved out of the sap into the cells by active transport. Then what happened here? This so sucrose again moves out of the phloem, out of the phloem to the cells. Here storage cells begin. From the phloem, it is moved out of the cells by active transport. Active transport. Okay. So here using ATP energy, again the sucrose is moved out of the phloem. So next the cells at the sink use this sugar and convert into starch or cellulose. So whatever maybe the cells are present in the sink area, root area, use that sugar, and that sugar is converted into starch. That sugar is converted into starch or cellulose. Okay, that's all. Cellulose. So as the sugars are removed from the phloem, as the sugars removed from the phloem. So sugars removed from the phloem and enters out of the phloem. The osmotic pressure decreases and water moves out of the phloem. So when the sucrose is completely reached to the root region, the osmotic pressure is completely decreased. Water is moves out of the phloem, and enters into the xylem region. So this is called pressure flow hypothesis or mass flow hypothesis. So here to prove whether phloem contains food or not, here we have to see one experiment. What is that experiment? Take well-watered potted plant. Okay, so it is growing happily. Here leaves are there. These are all leaves. Leaves are there. It is a stem growing like this way. It has leaves. Like this. Like this way, it has leaves. Okay, so well-watered potted plant. Well-watered potted plant means what? We have supplied sufficient amount of water. So from any branch of the plant, remove bark in that particular place. You remove bark in this particular place. Okay, so up to white part, if we cut the bark from this branch, here we can see a kind of a white color. Up to that, if we will remove bark, then this is called girdle. Okay, so when we remove this bark up to white color part, then it seems to be a white color. That part is called girdle. If you will keep this entire setup aside, after 10 days, 15 days, so this part, this region seems to be bulge or swelling occurs. Or bulge we can see. Okay, so a kind of a bulge appearance we can see. So if this part cut and examine for nutrients, we can observe various kinds of carbohydrates, sugars, proteins, etc. So this indicates that the phloem transports food material. So when we are so through the system, phloem transport food material. So when we remove this bark, the food material is not transferred to this region. Okay, so then the food material is blocked here only. The food material is blocked here only. So due to the blockage of food material, it appears to be swell or bulge. This indicates that it contains food material. Okay, so this is called Gutti experiment. This is called Gutti method. Gutti method or air layering method. Air layering method. So this is the method extensively second PUC in first chapter I will discuss more and more information. Okay, that's all. With this experiment, 11th chapter successfully finished. 12th chapter, mineral nutrition. Mineral nutrition. So this topic we will discuss about what kind of minerals are available in soil and how it will help the plant to develop and growth. That is what we will see. So here see, nutrition is a process by which the organisms obtain substances for their nourishment. See here, nutrition is a kind of a process. Providing nutrients to the plant is called nutrition. Okay, nutrition is a process. With the help of this method, organisms receives various kinds of substances for the nourishment, for providing nutrients. Okay, so the chemical substances that provide nourishment are called nutrients. Whatever may be the chemical substances, those chemical substances provide nutrition. Nourishment means feeding or nutrition. Okay, so the chemical substances, those provide nourishments. That is called, those chemical substances are called nutrients. Depending on the mode of nutrition, organisms could be autotrophic and heterotrophic. Okay, so if food material with the help of atmospheric substances, if food material prepared on they themselves means autotrophics. If organisms are depends upon other organisms, those are called heterotrophic organisms. Autotrophic organisms they themselves prepare food materials. Heterotrophs depends upon autotrophic organisms. So in this chapter, we will study about the plant nutrition. Plant nutrition, that is various minerals, what kind of minerals are, how those minerals are essential for plant. So essential, how those minerals are essential for growth and development of plants. And if those minerals are deficiency, those plants face what kind of deficiency symptoms they will face. Those are all the conditions. We would also study the mechanism of biological nitrogen fixation, how nitrogen is essential for the plant. So these are all the mechanisms in this chapter we will keep discussion. So first of all, so what are the methods to study mineral requirement of plants? What kind of methods are there to study the mineral requirement of the plants? Okay, so methods, the heading is methods to study the mineral requirements of plants. So a German botanist, Julius von Sack, German scientist, he is a botany scientist. His name Julius von Sack in 1860 gave a technique that is called hydroponics. Hydroponics means what? In which plants could be grown to a maturity in a defined nutrient medium, in complete absence of soil. In complete absence of soil. In complete absence of soil. Absence of soil, the plants grown and matured. So soil won't be there. Instead of soil, they provide a liquid media. In that liquid media, plants grown and shows maturity. That is called hydroponics. That is the technique of hydroponics. So since then, this technique has been improved. Since then, this technique has been improvised. Improvised, nothing but improved to study and determine the essential mineral nutrients of the plants. With the help of this method, we can study and determine what kind of minerals are essential to the growth and development of the plant. So for that, the technique is called hydroponics. Hydroponics are, this technique is also called water culture experiment. In this water culture experiment, they will use only medium, nutrient medium. With the help of nutrient medium, they will culture various kinds of plants. Okay, so it is well known that the plant growth depends on minerals. Everybody knows that. So you might have studied in your 10th class also. So it is well known that plant growth depends on minerals, various kinds of minerals, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur. That kind of minerals, they will be dissolved in the water. Okay, so from the water, plant will absorb and shows growth and development. So since the minerals required by plants are easily absorbed in solution, it is possible to grow plants in water containing the desired amount of mineral salts, taking care that aerial parts are exposed to the air and light. See here, see hydroponics in this technique. What see the diagram I am drawing here, small diagram I will draw. This is the hydroponics technique. In this one, water. In this water, they will add various kinds of minerals. Various kinds of minerals. That is sodium, potassium, calcium, ammonia, magnesium, hydrogen. Like that, various kinds of minerals are added. This is called nutrient media. So since the minerals are required by the plants, whatever may be the minerals are required by the plants, those are easily absorbed in the solution. This solution, they are absorbed. So in this solution, they will keep one plant. This is plant. This is plant. Like this. This is plant. Like this, they will keep various kinds of plants. It consists of fruits. Okay. So it is aerating tube. It is aerating tube. Aerating tube. Aerating tube. Through this aerating tube, the air is entered into this one. Okay. So this is called a nutrient solution. Nutrient solution. Okay. So here one funnel they will fix. Through that funnel, they will add water and nutrients. So see here, easily absorbed. It is possible to grow plants in water containing. The plant is grown in water containing medium. So the desired amount of mineral salts taking care. So whatever may be the minerals and salts are essential for that plant. Those are all the minerals are they are fixed in this. They are diluted in this solution. Okay. So that the aerial part are exposed to the air. Aerial part means what? So stem, leaves, so these are all exposed to the air or light, air or sunlight. So this technique is called hydroponics. Hydroponics or water culture experiment help us to understand. So first, which element is essential for normal growth? So with the help of hydroponics, so we can, it helps to us which element is essential for normal growth. In this solution, what kind of elements are absolutely essential for normal growth? That is what we can understand. So next, which element is not essential and absorbed along with other nutrients? That is also we can understand. Okay, so which element is not essential to the plant growth and development, and that particular nutrient is absorbed along with other nutrients by the plants. That is also we can understand. So how much quantity of each mineral is essential? How much quantity of each mineral is essential? That is what we can be studying. How much quantity of each mineral? So if you will add more and more minerals to the plant, it will not grow. So it will face another symptoms. Okay, if more and more nutrients are supplied, it will face problem. If less nutrients are supplied, it will face problem. So exactly how much quantity of each mineral is essential to the plant. That is what also we can understand. Okay, with the help of hydroponics techniques, we can understand these are all the techniques. Okay, so hydroponics or water culture experiments help us to understand in this way, in these three aspects. Which element is essential for normal growth? Which element is not essential, and which element is not essential and absorbed along with other nutrients? How much quantity of each mineral is essential to the particular plant? We can understand. Okay, that's all. Next topic. So here they have given important aspects of hydroponics. Okay, it is again given. This is only it is important aspects of hydroponics. What are the important aspects of hydroponics? So roots of growing plants are immersed in the nutrient solution without soil. See, already I said that. See, it is nutrient solution. It is nutrient solution. In this one, we can keep this is stem. Okay, so in that particular plant, roots are immersed in the nutrient solution without the soil. Large volume of nutrient solution is needed for a hydroponic culture. Large volume of solutions are needed for a hydroponic culture. For a hydroponic culture, large volume of medium is required. Okay, so small quantity of medium is not sufficient. Huge quantity of medium is required. Concentration of nutrients is adjusted frequently to prevent changes in the nutrient concentration and pH medium. So concentration of nutrients, for example, now 100 ml of nutrient solution is added to this plant. So that 100 ml of nutrients are absorbed by the plant. Thereafter, in this solution, nutrients of the concentration of nutrients are frequently adjusted. Concentration of nutrients is adjusted frequently to prevent changes in the nutrient concentration and pH of the medium. See, whatever may be the concentration of that particular nutrients, that is adjusted frequently to prevent changes in the nutrient concentration and pH. That all I said here. So in this particular plant, so once if you will add some amount of nutrients, that is absorbed by the plant. After that, so the concentration of nutrients or pH is reduced. That's why frequently, so the nutrients are needed to be added to prevent the changes in the nutrient concentration and pH of this particular medium. So vigorous bubbling of air through the medium is routinely done to provide sufficient oxygen to the root system. So vigorous bubbling. So vigorous bubbling of air means what? Continuously oxygen needed to be supplied to the plant to prevent the oxygen deficiency to the root system. To study the deficiency symptoms, a particular ion is eliminated from the nutrient medium. To study what kind of deficiency symptoms are faced by the plant, so a particular ion is purposely removed and observe the plant, how the plant is growing. Okay, after again they will be added that particular ion, then again they will observe the plant to study the plant growth in such a way. So particular ions are eliminated from the nutrient medium and observe the plant growth. Hydroponics has been successfully employed as a technique for the commercial production of vegetables like tomato, seedless, cucumber, and lettuce. So hydroponic techniques are purposely employed for some commercial plants like vegetable plants like tomato, seedless, cucumber, lettuce, etc. Lettuce means what? Palak. Lettuce means palak. Like that, so commercial vegetables like tomato, seedless cucumber, bende, lady's finger, like that, various kinds of the plants are cultured using hydroponics. Okay, that's all. So essential mineral elements. essential mineral elements. So the plant require many inorganic compounds for their normal growth and development. Essential. Okay. So the plant require many hundreds of inorganic compounds are required for normal plant growth and development. So those essential elements have been observed. So it has been observed that 105 elements are discovered so far. Yes, everybody knows that. So 60 elements have been found in different kinds of plants. So some plant species accumulate, increases selenium. Some plants gold. Some plants, while some plants growing near nuclear test sites, they will take radioactive strontium in their plant parts. Okay, that's the next criteria of the essentiality of elements or importance of essential elements. What are the importance of essential elements? What are the importance of essential elements? So see, the nutrients or elements which are essential for the healthy growth of the plant are called essential nutrients or essential elements. See, the nutrients are elements which are absolutely essential for the healthy growth of the plant. Such kind of nutrients are called essential nutrients or essential elements. Essential nutrients are essential elements. So the roots absorb about 30 to 40 elements from the soil. The root itself absorbs 30 to 40 elements from the soil. So an essential element is absolutely necessary for normal growth and reproduction. So these essential elements are absolutely necessary for plant normal growth and reproduction also. The requirement of the element is very specific and it cannot be replaced by another element. So one particular element performs one particular function. If that particular element is deficiency, so that particular function also leads to deficiency. That particular element function cannot be performed by another element. Okay, that's that. So the element is directly involved in the nutrition of the elements. So these essential elements are directly involved in the nutrition of the plant, and those plants will grow very effectively. For example, here see, magnesium is said to be an essential nutrient because it is required for the formation of chlorophyll molecule. The chlorophyll molecule is essential for photosynthesis. If in the soil magnesium is deficiency, the plant does not take chlorophyll pigment. If chlorophyll pigment deficiency happens, so the plant does not perform photosynthesis. So it is proportional. Okay, that only here the requirement of the element is very specific, and that element is not replaced by that requirement is not replaced by any other element. So magnesium, instead of magnesium, if you supply potassium. So with the help of potassium, so chlorophyll does not formed and does not perform photosynthesis. For the chlorophyll molecule, magnesium is essential. Oh, okay. If magnesium deficiency happens, photosynthesis does not take place. It cannot be replaced by any other element, and it is directly absorbed by the roots. Magnesium, that magnesium is directly absorbed by the root. Okay, that's all. Essential elements based on quantitative requirement. So essential elements based on quantitative, how much quantity of essential elements are required. Based on that, based upon the above criteria, only few elements have been found to be absolutely essential for plant growth and metabolism. So few elements are absolutely required for the plant growth and the metabolism. So those elements have been divided into two broad categories. So based on their quantitative requirement, based upon their how much quantity of those elements are required to the plants, based upon their essential elements are divided into two types: micronutrients and macronutrients. Micronutrients, nothing but micro elements. Macronutrients, nothing but macro elements. Micro means minute quantity they require. Macro means minute quantity they require. Minute quantity they require. Macro means huge quantity they require. So here essential nutrients, essential elements. In that, first of all, let us see micronutrients. How micronutrients are essential. Okay, so required in minute quantities like less than 0.1 milligram per gram of dry matter per per 1 gram of dry matter, 0.0 mg of essential micronutrients are required. So also micronutrients also called trace element, minute elements. For example, manganese, boron, copper, molybdenum, iron, zinc, chlorine. These are all called micronutrients. Some like cobalt, vanadium, nickel have also been included in micronutrients. These are all required to the plants in minute quantity, that is 0.1 milligrams are required per gram of dry matter. Okay, so here macronutrients, micro and macronutrients. So the nutrients which are required in relatively large quantities, like at least 1 to 10 milligrams per 1 gram of dry matter. For 1 gram of dry matter, dry weight, they required 1 to 10 milligrams of nutrients for the plant. Such type of nutrients is called macronutrients. Those are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, sulfur, calcium, and magnesium. Okay, these are called micronutrients and macronutrients. Next. So based on the function, essential elements can be grouped into 4 broad categories based upon their different functions. These categories are given here. So first, essential elements as the components of biomolecules. Essential elements are the components of biomolecules. That is, biomolecules are all biomolecules contains what? So molybdenum, iron, zinc, cobalt, chlorine, chloride, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, like that. All biomolecules are the components of essential. So as the components of biomolecules and present as the structural elements of the cells. Any body, any organism, structural component of the cell contains biomolecules. Those biomolecules are manganese, boron, copper, molybdenum, zinc, chlorine, etc. Okay, so here examples. So what are those essential elements? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Those are all called essential elements. Next, as components of energy related chemical compounds in plants. As a components of energy related chemical compounds. Energy related chemical compounds means what? Some essential elements releases energy. For example, magnesium in chlorophyll. Magnesium in chlorophyll helps in releasing of energy. That is in the form of carbohydrates, sucrose, sugars, etc. So phosphorus in ATP. So in adenosine triphosphate, 3 phosphate molecules are added to the adenosine. It is adenosine, phosphate 1, phosphate 2, phosphate 3. These 3 phosphate molecules are added to this, and each one contains some amount of energy. Okay, that's all. Next, so as activator or inhibitor of enzymes. See, some of the essential elements are important for the activation or activate or inhibit, activate or stop the enzyme functions. For example, Mg2 plus magnesium ion is an activator for the enzyme ribulose bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase. One enzyme here, ribulose bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase enzyme. If this enzyme is wanted to be activated, here essential element magnesium ion is required. And at the same time, another enzyme, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase. Phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase enzyme, ASE carboxylase enzyme. So both enzymes are, and this is also even phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. Even this enzyme, if wanted to activate, magnesium is essential. Both enzymes, these 2 enzymes are essential in photosynthetic carbon fixation. Both the enzymes are essential in photosynthetic, in plants carbon fixation. For that enzyme activation purpose, magnesium ion is essential. At the same time, zinc ion, it is zinc ion. Zinc ion is an activator of alcohol dehydrogenase during nitrogen metabolism. In the atmosphere, huge quantity of nitrogen is present. So that should be converted into nitrites, nitrates, and ammonia. So for that process is called nitrogen metabolism. For the activator of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme, this enzyme, zinc ion is essential. If this enzyme is activated, it helps to fixation of nitrogen metabolism in the plants. And at the same time, okay. Okay. Less than 1 minute more. After again, now 10:40, again 11 o'clock, you join for biology class only. At that time, again, this topic we will continue. Leave the meeting.